metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone, unless you're out of change. You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable. Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. It's streaked with dried seagull shit entangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth. It seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out on this fence to dry out. Unfortunately, that just seems to have stiffened it into a shapeless mass.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. It's a guano-encrusted jacket, and you're already carrying around enough as it is.
The smell. It's awful and familiar. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying sweetness. Only death smells like that. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. It is death. It must be. The lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose. There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up. They seem unhygienic.
A tragedy.
He shakes his head with genuine sadness. Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The sea air brings some relief. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. A man lies on the boardwalk. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. A cool leather jacket with a bolt of blue? Oh no, this sounds terribly familiar. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into two. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. You have to be quite inebriated to fall that bad. Well over a liter of pure ethanol. 3 bottles of wine, or 1.5 of spirits. Or maybe it was just dark. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his moustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build. Age approximately 50 to 60 years. He was confused when he died. Confused and alone, most likely. Overcome with the awful surprise of it all. He was just about to head home. The first step back home proved to be his last. That's what the chewing gum seems to point to as well. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is what killed him. This is where he came out of himself, drop by drop, when he was unconscious. It took 3, maybe 4 minutes.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
A .75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. It's mid-market spirits, with a slight touch of menthol. The man meant to enjoy himself, have a good time.
Tear all around us.
Rybowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too?
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
In a ditch off a road below the 881, he thinks, a young father. Then he shakes his head to make the memory stop. They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your feet. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
A dead working-class man with a bottle in his hand? Don't deceive yourself. You know who this is.
The woman you met at the book stand? Why do you think it's her husband? The bright blue lining? Well, he's definitely someone's husband. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the Pox.
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal, and this looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of unnecessary work. Maybe, but we don't really have much time or resources to spare. The guys at processing will take care of the rest. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from Mike and Emma. Let them know we are taking the case.
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Billy is a unisex name. Could be the deceased or his family member. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from Mike and Emma. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinting Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. Some thrillers too.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Heilostam. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words. This doesn't mean anything.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words. This...
Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into verbs lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
This man is your half-brother. You feel it. But why?
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
Hold on. What's R&D? It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore. You're probably more familiar with RTD, Research and Technological Development. That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer. Which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet. Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A pleasure wheel?
Perhaps reminded of a childhood memory. It's clear he would prefer they were a big wheel, lighting up the coast.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers, they used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02. It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans ce Lind. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware. 10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Jews joined the team, trying to...
Wait, did he just say Womty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Womty Dumpty Dum Center. like it's the most natural thing in the world.
The Wumpty Dumpty Dump Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to... In fact, I'm not. The Wumpty Dumpty Dump Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research center. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting, perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing. Even one would be very useful. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The Feld playback experiment vanished into the fires of '07. Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Feld playback experience, but those are incorrect. Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. But of course, what else? No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
You see, a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away."
Looks like tomorrow never came.
The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years.
No, I won't even try. You know, I had a partner once. They called him Eyes, because he had to show me things. It's that bad.
This partner of his, Eyes, things didn't end well. It saddens him to say his name. Don't even ask. He wouldn't answer. Maybe some other small talk.
Well enough, actually. It's odd how that works. I'm no sharpshooter, but I pass my shooting courses 7 out of 10.
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood. The padlock passes through a staple that's been hastily attached to the wood. Closer inspection reveals that one of the screws is not a screw at all, but a nail. The work has been done recently and is unprofessional, to say the least. Should you want to get through, it might be easier to just pry the whole thing off. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock is adorned with a yellow sticker. You see a yellow circle with 2 X's and a big curve below them that looks like a mouth. You're pretty sure you haven't seen it before, but what the symbol depicts is clear enough. A smiling dead guy. The curve makes it smile, and the X's make it dead. He takes off his glasses and uses a blue handkerchief to thoroughly wipe them clean before inspecting the sticker. Then he looks up, pauses, and replies.
No. Looks like a dead man smiling. Suggests junior delinquency. For Revachol ZOC, the moral intern defined junior delinquents as minors between the ages of 10 and 16 who have committed an act in violation of the law. These acts aren't called crimes as they would be for adults. Crimes committed by minors are called delinquent acts. This was part of your officer's exams. I haven't seen that sticker before, and I'm not a youth.
Thus, it must be made by youths. The carving on the door is block-like and angular, like the church itself. Two large beams shoot downwards, sinking into the wood before they reach the threshold. The surface is smooth from the wind, but moist to the touch. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock is adorned with a yellow sticker.
If you really think we should get in there, we need to find some other way. It does seem rather irrelevant to our case.
An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see a handle.
It's military, a service depot of some sort. The washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? One moment. Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? No field autopsy necessary.
You can hear her quickly typing in the background.
What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card? Good. You have a lead. Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else? I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you? I'm afraid they're closed. It says here that the library is open.
We should try again during business hours.
Anything else, Detective? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers. The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian on the cover. Nearly all the titles contain the word Hyundai somewhere.
Oh yes, certainly. Another good sale.
This fan has two chains, or has it been consigned there as punishment? You feel as though this creature is your friend, and the lights are on. The cover of this tattered paperback features the man from Yeomdar, standing atop a pile of bloody corpses. His two Zweihanders are crossed over his massive chest in a dramatic X, their blades dripping with gore. Behind him rise the harsh, snow-capped peaks of his native Northlands. In bold red letters, the title, Yeomdalaman, the man from Yeomdal, unfurls like a banner. In the foreground, a nearly nude woman lies spread in supplication, her privates strategically covered by her flowing black hair. These images speak to something burbling deep within you. Quick, find someone or something that needs to be gutted, beheaded, impaled on a spike. The back blurb reads, his latest adventure serves as the perfect introduction to the savage Yeomdal saga. Meet man from Yeomdal, his faithful blood brother Tyribald, the noble Lord Hrothgar, and some of their most fearsome foes yet, for the Northlands, for Yeomdal. Below, in smaller font, you see the parenthetical, adapted from Man from Yeomdal and the Necromancer's Treasure. Man from Yeomdal, Lord of Hrothgar, and Man from Yeomdal, the Curse of Nacht Hera. A brazen attempt to bilk fans for more money by splicing together old stories under a new title. Their main concern is the continuation of the franchise, not making literary history. The story opens in media res. The man from Yeomdal and his band of northern reavers are in the bowels of an ancient temple, surrounded by an army of gibbering whites, led by the deathless necromancer. One by one, the brave Northmen fall to the relentless crush of undead, only to join their number as reanimated corpses. By nightfall, only the man from Yeomdal and his blood brother, noble Tyribald, are left standing against the dead horde. It is an honor to die by your side, brother, Tyribald cries, as his battle axe beheads one of their reanimated comrades. 9, Tyribald, the man from Yeomdal, bellows over the army of flesh and bone. Have courage, for the Northlands, for Yeomdal. He leaps to the mezzanine to face the black-eyed figure, and like a mad ice bear, whirling twin Zweihanders, Sturm and Drang, he plows through the ranks of the deathless, surrounding the necromancer. It is physically impossible for a human being to effectively dual-wield Zweihander swords in any kind of real-life combat situation. And with deadly finesse, his twin blades scissor the necromancer's head from its body. The undead legions collapse like ragdolls as the dark magic leaves them, and the two Northmen stand alone in their cursed temple, where the bodies of their lost brothers litter the floors. A few chapters later, the man from Yeomdal and Tyribald are in a completely different setting, high above an arid desert, riding a pair of griffins that always seem to appear at narratively convenient moments. The Northmen find themselves in the court of a powerful southern king, Lord Hrothgar. The old king beseeches the man from Yeomdal to rid his kingdom of the Nacht Hera, a subterranean clan of blind wizards who traded their souls for demonic powers. The man from Yeomdal extracts a high price from the desperate king, He asks land for the homeless desert pygmies living exiled in the kingdom's borderlands. Hrothgar offers the hand of his eldest daughter instead, but the Son of Winter does not budge. What do you mean? Because the flame of justice burns bright within his chest, because, above all, he's driven to bring honor to the name of his beloved Heimdall, because his noble Cutland blood lusts for glory and conquest. It cannot be denied. You skip past a section detailing an elaborate banquet with many toasts, as well as the long and perilous journey from Hrothgar's keep to the ancient forest of Yesdar, where our heroes infiltrate the Nachtherre's dire hall. In the center of the great hall stands a blood altar, on which a pair of Nachtherre are disemboweling a shrieking peasant, an unholy rite that empowers the Nachtherre forbidden magic. As the vile ceremony ends, the sound of steel unsheathing draws the Nachtherre's attention to a pair of cloaked figures standing in the doorway. This is what you came for, isn't it? A climatic bloodletting, where men are reduced to muscle and fury. Swiftly, the visitors toss off their cloaks and unsheathe glimmering northern steel. It's the man from Heimdall and his valiant blood brother, Tyribald. In an instant, the Nachtherre summon a horde of gibbering orcanoids who rush our heroes. The hall fills with the clang of blades and the screams of the dying as the floor goes slick with steaming orcanoid viscera. When the din of battle settles, only the man from Heimdall and Tyribald remain standing. Exhausted and dripping with the entrails of their foes, the two Northmen confront the foul Nachtherre. The man from Heimdall's soda-like blue eyes fill with indescribable fury. For the Northlands, he cries, rushing headlong into a desperate melee. He probably is, but you can't be sure, cause this one ends in a cliffhanger and a footnote saying, "To be continued in Heimdallaman at the Gates of Tomorrow." Coming soon to your local bookstore. Considering the sheer amount of different Heimdallaman books out there, it's very unlikely you're ever gonna find the sequel. The man from Heimdall stares at you on the cover, his face fixed in grim resolve. A cockatoo is a parrot with an erectile crest, found on the Seminine Islands and in southern Fas Alamer. Known for their intelligence and general precociousness, cockatoos are popular birds in aviculture. However, they often exhibit various behavioral issues. This book talks about the delicate nature of toos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the bird enthusiasts. The funeral cockatoo, the major majestic cockatoo, and the most common bang bang cockatoo. It's colorfully illustrated. Where to even begin? All cockatoos are known for their needy natures, requiring attention for at least 2 full hours a day. They love to talk and have been described as lovable clowns who just don't know how to wrap up. Pet owners also report moodiness, loudness, and hostility as recurring issues. If left unsatisfied, cockatoos may scream non-stop, pluck their feathers, or become aggressive. It is not recommended to get a cockatoo if you're not able to cook them food every day and give them the full care that they need. These birds will never understand that you have a life of your own. You're right. Cockatoos are magnificent creatures. They love to perform, cuddle and show off, and will even scream for fun, often as loud as up to 135 decibels. Ouch, that must hurt. Not great for the neighbors. This is a yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Its specific name, Psittacus venereus, relates to its dark and somber plumage. This bird looks as if dressed for a funeral, 24/7. There is something indisputably ominous about it. Ooh. Perhaps the most impressive of all the species, the endangered major majestic cockatoo, is often described as the most flamboyant bird in the jungle. Its pink-colored wings and flowing crest embellishing its proud and bumptious nature. In the words of poet-explorer Sir James Fournier, few birds more enliven the monotonous hues of the verdant forest than this big, bold, and beautiful species. Despite its banging name, the bang-bang cockatoo is actually the shyest of the species, common in almost all Seminoese forests, as well as zoos and homes all over the world. Its plumage is mainly grey and white. The Seminoese name, bang-bang, is thought to be of onomatopoeic origins. Yes, but all those cockatoo species are so different. Which one are you? You're right, Your Majesty embodied. This big, beautiful bird belongs on your heraldry. Six crumbling petals rest on your palm. They're white, a bell-shaped crown.
This is the Insulindian lily, called Maybells or Lucille's tears during the Revolution. Girls used to pin these on soldiers before sending them off to battle. The revolutionaries saw the communards and the anarchists. White's their color, but the custom started in the suzerain's army, so it held meaning for the kingsmen too. It's about girls and boys more than sight. Girls sending off boys who are going to their deaths, then also dying themselves in the ruins from dysentery and consumption. It's a symbol of the Civil War. Yes, but not this early, not to my knowledge. It looks dried, preserved. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see.
The petals feel dry and fragile in your hand. Water flows under the channel bridge. Dark water. You rub your sides for warmth, but there is none. Inland, above the Martinez distributary, the channel that brought wastewater from the silk mills of Jamrock, and then dead bodies during the war. The wrinkled fingers of an old man crush flower petals, then sprinkle them in the stream like white salt. inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. Because there's a secret door hidden behind the panels of Eternite. That's why they're too orderly. There it is. You see a shabby little door.
What is this, then? A tool shed? Let's investigate.
Be still, my beating heart. It's amphetamine. Sweet amphetamine. The lieutenant isn't studying the powder in the mirror. He's studying you.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. However, see that ladder there? It's probably another way into the industrial harbor, no? A secret path the local kids use. Yes?
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots, anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs. You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. No, these tracks are not interesting at all. Let the street sweeper just sweep them away. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete.
Officer! God damn it. Pull yourself together, René. What do you want? It's a Bell McGrave. 4.46 caliber. Breech loading. Revachol made. Good weapon. Accurate and reliable. This one's inoperable. The bolt spring is missing and the mechanism is jammed shut. Still a beauty. Where did you find her? I'm not surprised. There are probably lots of forgotten wartime weapons lying around here. Back in the day, everyone had something stashed away. As for the rifle, I don't know what else to tell you. These BM-446s are an antique. No one uses them anymore. The ammunition is impossible to find. I prefer the old name. Insulindian Lily. Girls bought them to young cadets when they entered service. Wearing them on your cap was supposed to bring good luck. You know what? Now, they brought me misery, false hope, and disappointment. The revolutionaries sullied them.
You stirred up some bad memories there.
But it wasn't the revolutionaries that sullied the idea for you, was it? She gave them to me too, and your jealous little heart just couldn't accept it.
Enough! I can go over these matters in detail with you, Gaston, but not while we have company. So, officers.
Maybells don't blossom yet, do they?
Maybe on some remote parts of the city they do. But I think you'll have to wait for at least a month. Yes, the Debardeurs Union pays me to stand vigil during the nights. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and money is tight.
He feels like he has to justify himself for some reason.
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night. Been on a 2-week leave since last Monday. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man would rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, seek it. A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
I'm fine, goddammit. Mind your own business. It's nothing. Just got to cut back on coffee. No one. The bus has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me.
No one has been guarding the container yard since last Monday.
Yes. It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officer. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabiniers' pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words.
Look, officer, can we conclude the topic of my guard booth now? Yes. Like I said, it would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp.
I have really outdone myself. This is divine.
Yes, that's what you need, Gaston. More padding on that fat arse of yours. I hope your heart gives out.
René, it's a little pleasures. Life doesn't need to be a struggle. Hello, officer. How might I be of assistance on this fine day? Let me think. I heard someone was hanged and left on a tree for a week, but that's all I know, really. No, officers, I'm sorry, and I really would like to assist. You are both good guys. I can see that.
Then help them, you wimp. You have plenty of shoulder with the gauche caviar in the Union. Someone must know something.
I wish I could, but I just don't know anything. I always keep my nose clean and don't gossip. Everyone knows and respects that.
Respects?
I'm not even anyone.
Of course he's holding back. His mouth is so full of Union prick he can't even speak properly.
Can I at least finish my fucking sentence before you piss on it? Is that okay, René? I'm not anyone important in the Union. I just know Evrard. Everyone in Martinez knows the Clare brothers. I taught these boys human studies and history in the gymnasium.
What do you know about history? You never witnessed history. Only heard about it years later, when it had already moved on. You don't know history.
The old soldier mumbles something under his breath and turns to face the sea. The blind leading the blind doesn't even begin to describe it, is what he said.
Let's try not to get caught in a crossfire.
Lest we leave riddled with bullet holes. This animosity is ancient.
Oh, in many ways, yes. Like an honorary member. I attend meetings and parties, help with little things. Evrard, Edgar, and the older debarders all know me. Oh, yes. Not in the technical sense. I don't have a vote or a membership card, but Evrard keeps me on the payroll, just for the little things.
Of course he's not a member. He's not a member of anything. I knew that. He's a Weservein. Turns to where the wind blows and tries to look important. I hate this socialist rabble, but even siding with them is better than living your entire life on the fence. Never committing to anything. Pick a damn side already.
Writing work mostly. Occasionally, he needs something written, and I happen to have a way with words, people say. Oh, nothing official, I assure you. Just essays for the newspapers. About Martinez and how things are and how they could be. Evrard and I have these long talks where...
Well, he tells his little pen man exactly what to say. It's commie propaganda, plain and simple. You should be ashamed of yourself.
On the Union track? No, thank you. For being consummate professionals, you'll have this case wrapped up in no time. Oh, the goal is to throw your bull. As close to the cochonnet as you can. That's the cochonnet. Well, first, you draw a circle about a half a meter in diameter. We made ours out of rope. Then, the order of play is determined by a coin toss. You win it. You get to throw the cochonnet. Then, the players aim to throw their bulls as close to the cochonnet as possible. They must stay in the circle and keep both feet planted. I could, but I'd rather not. I don't want to take up your time with trivial details, officer.
Is he denying you information when you clearly requested it? That's it. We're blowing the lid off this man jar. You need to know things.
Then there's measuring the distance between the bull and the cochonnet. I always measure ours, but usually it's done by the player who threw last. The opponent has a right to remeasure if he has doubt about the result, and...
Can you believe this clown? This is information you must have, and he's stalling. Lives could be on the line, and he's just running out the clock.
Yes, officer. Yes. I swear, I don't know anything else about Pétanque. It's all I know, I swear.
And that's how you break a man if the good cop and the bad cop have left for the day. Disturbing cop to the rescue.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, officer.
Good. Gaston finally understands the rules now. Let's see if it makes him a better pétanquista.
What was that all about? Some experimental interrogation technique you're honing? I know a weird cop when I see one. It doesn't work. Weird cop only confuses the suspect and the weird cop himself, while all he should have done was ask normal questions.
Just please ask them normal questions. Medicinal purposes of the Pearl. The cover of this heavy tome features a number of esoteric symbols. Flipping through the book, you find a number of sections on the general benefits of the Pearl. Have you taken any walks through the Pearl recently? And on your walks, do you stop to meditate on the nature of your being? Good. And when you meditate, are you in the nude? Excellent. Free your body. You long to feel the cool breeze tickle against your inner thighs and midriff. You're doing everything as you should. Regular Pearl meditation has been shown to help keep your body lithe and strong, your mind alert and expansive. A note of caution, however. Be sure to limit your exposure to the PAL to no more than an hour a day and no more than 3 hours total per week. Rigorous self-critique. Here it is. Hard facts from the man you are. You once jerked off in the locker room and were caught. You held a young woman by the arm and kept her in your apartment for 20 minutes against her will. That's right. These are not flights of fancy. These are real deeds, Harry, emerging from the darkness of your past. You tried shooting a fleeing suspect in the foot, but hit him in the pelvis, crippling him for life. And, above all, you let life defeat you. All the gifts your parents gave you, all the love and patience of your friends, you drowned in a neurotoxin. You let misery win, and it will keep on winning till you die, or overcome it.
Yes?
It's getting cold, this late in the night. Time to call it a day.
Good night, officer. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
This medicine cabinet is stocked with drugs, plus an old toothbrush, and... there it is, the orange sun wearing blister pack. You feel almost nostalgic for it. feels like gold in your hands, light and precious.
I was just thinking, what a nice evening it is for taking part in a murder investigation. Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer. Wow. Elysium. You don't hear that term often.
She's a glib girl, but she liked the wording.
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music. I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them. Were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. I don't know about that. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace. A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of that time you were yelling along to it. That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Don't be. I was going out later anyway. It didn't bother me. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. A window was smashed. The tape player, probably. The song stopped. And furniture, too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then. Around 4 or 5. And that was it.
She feeds herself another cigarette.
Yeah? You tell me, officer. I've been trying to open it, in case the contamination gets to the roof and I have to move on. No luck. Thank you. I've put a lot of time and effort into it.
Technically, possession of narcotics is legal in Revachol, but you should still reprimand her. No, don't listen to the stiff. Be cool.
With money, sir. It's not exactly the NT-star size caboodle I intend for it to be one day, but it's getting there. Oh, yes. One of my favorites. It cures many ailments. Like not being able to stay up for 36 hours, not being happy. It cures those ailments. It's just a merit speed molecule, basically. Huh? Motherfucker took my Preptide? Looks like you owe me one, officer. I'm talking serious corruption here. Took it like a common highwayman. Don't think this won't come up again during what will be an opportune moment for me, Officer Disco.
She's not angry, but it's true. She's gonna have to find some more Preptide now.
All right. Clasier Amandu. Vredefort, Republic of Oranje. I'm 28. Something stupid. Oranese lit. Oranese literature. It's what I studied at the university. Fear of failure, fear of death, how it sucks to be Oranese. All national literatures are... only the name of the nation changes.
If that's true, then Revacholian Lit would fit you like a glove.
Nothing. I do nothing with it. Cool. I've made more money by just being than I have with Oranese Lit. Many things. A roller skating instructor, a secretary, Miss Oranje 37.
It's the world's most tired smile. Miss Oranje, now there is something you should linger on.
It's a beauty pageant, held in the year of our century 37, in Oranje.
She was 14 at the time.
Indeed.
Her voice is indifferent to the number.
Full disclosure, I was Miss Teen Oranje 37. The pageant was discontinued recently. I'm afraid you can't, officer. Because it's buried in a sealed plastic bag at an undisclosed location on the coast, along with cash and airline tickets. They say so in your tourist brochure. Keep travel documents away from your person when west of the river. If I were to lie to you, I would come up with a more mainstream name than Clausia Mondu. It's a weird name. Officer, I like this place, but I don't want to be stuck wandering the city like a ghost after being robbed of my travel documents. I don't want to become an indentured servant in a brothel on Boogie Street, and I don't want my relatives to pay the ransom.
There are plenty of other reasons for hiding your documents from the law.
It's also why I hid it. I'm an unpopular girl. There are people back home who don't like me. If they show up, I'm in a hurry. The kind of hurry where you can't afford to not find your documents. But don't worry, this has nothing to do with your investigation. I would love to change the subject. It's not important. Unless I'm some kind of suspect. Phew.
Playfully. She doesn't seem to be overly distressed. Or distressed at all, really.
Okie dokie. The record. So official.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette pack. A pane of eternite has been planted into the snow. 2 poles are holding it up. Barely holding it up. It could fall over any minute. A stronger gust of wind might be enough. Looks like a makeshift bridge currently drawn up. The pane falls into the icy snow with a soft thunk. A shaggy-looking girl, in her late teens or early 20s, kneels on the ice with an electronic contraption in her hand. Hearing you approach, she looks up.
Oh, hello there.
It's cold out here, but she's not wearing a hat. She must be freezing. Everyone knows drugs make you invulnerable to cold. You bet this one likes to party.
What? So should you.
You don't have to do anything.
Real cool.
Way to abuse that power, man, she says, thinking you can't hear her. She bats away your questions like flies. She's not intimidated by mere police officers.
Like what? A cell.
Her hair is dyed blonde, with dark roots showing. There's a coarseness to her features, some masculinity below that timidness.
Why? Okay, it's Berger.
A very common name.
This is a portable recording device. It's for field recording. Low quality, but still. Actually, just one wire. I picked on it till the braiding came loose. The wire leads to a contact microphone. A contact mic records sounds from inside things, like this ice. The mic? I don't exactly know. Somehow it doesn't pick up vibrations from the air. The book said it only picks up structure-borne sound, if you like technobabble. Same place I got the recorder from, the Palaceum. Oh man, you haven't been to the Palaceum? It's the coolest place in this whole drug-addled shithole. It's a music club and a synthesizer workshop on Boogie Street in Jamrock. Musicians live there, like real musicians. I once saw Arno van Eyck.
Thinking about it really cheers her up. It's a long way from here, though.
Oh yeah, guess you wouldn't know Van Eyck, or really be a Palaceum going kind of person. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means either. That's cool. Sucks, man. Was there something else? About the contact mic, perhaps? Okay. Recording, I guess. I think I'm recording cracks in the ice, but there's no way to tell. Not without headphones. I think I just recorded your footsteps too. Not sure how that will sound. My boyfriend sold them. I don't know, man. Things. Just stuff you need for life.
Everything checks out, sire.
The musicians in the Palaceum used them for making music. They looped the stuff, cutting the tapes together. They make music out of cracks in the ice and keys jangling. Crazy sounds like that. It's hard to explain. Anyway, I thought I'd make some too. It's supposed to be, like, a music place anyway. I don't really know what I'm doing. They use synthesizers too. I don't have a synthesizer.
She looks at the recording device. The thing she thought would fill her hours with joy and escape. It's turning out to be an empty fantasy. She feels childish, very useless all of a sudden.
No, man, fuck that. I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry about the fuck.
She's shivering a bit.
That? The boys think it could be a place, like the Palaceum or something. Stupid. It's really not gonna be a Palaceum, that's for sure. Yeah, Andre and the guys, they're inside, in the tent.
And why is that?
They got too much stuff crammed in there, no room. Music stuff mostly. Like this tape recorder, but bigger. And there's piles of it. That stuff is more expensive than I am. More expensive than any of us, really. Doesn't matter, I can take the cold. Go ahead.
The device is cold to the touch. An angular Omicron logo adorns the yellow plastic cover. Underneath, you see a reel of tape rolling. You put the device back on the ice.
It's supposed to become, like, a club for anodic dance music, like that new style of synthesizer stuff they play at the Palaceum. Except that, yeah.
The floorboards are twisting, and the shooting beams are slowly cracking, like bones, far east of the Golden Delta, Beyond the industrial port, there is a black patch of unlit coast with the smallest creatures on the ice. There will never be a club for anodic music here. Not in a million years.
You know, anodic, cathodic, music that's made with electronic instruments. Synthesizers and tape consoles. Microcomputers too. Anything that uses electricity, but isn't guitars. Also found sounds, stuff like that.
You see clear, beautiful, violent flashes of light. Light cutting through a smoke-filled darkness. That is what the future will look like, if it ever comes.
I know. It's not my idea. Andre and the boys found the place. It was supposed to be deserted, but now they can't even take it. Hey, you're a cop. Okay, well, maybe you could talk to Andre and the guys, because there are some strange things going on in that church. If you're police, you should look into it, right? They're inside that thing there. Would be cool if you did. Was there something else? Go ahead. Well, it's just questioning, right? You're just questioning me. It's what cops do. Once or twice, yeah. I'm sorry I haven't had the Revachol experience they get east of the river. The usual. I had a shitty run as a teenager. You know, drinking, getting into fights. The ugly stuff that happens when you move out your parents' place at 13. In Forberg. My dad was a drunk. Plus, I guess, I just wanted to drink too, you know. Get my party on. All right. Okay, bye.